Hey guys, this is Colin. This is our episode number one of Insights, where we take a deeper look into what goes on underneath local San Diego teams. But today we're going to be focusing on Team Inspiration 11128, where all of our hosts are from. Pahel, why don't you
Hi.
start us off?
Hi guys, I'm Pahel from Team Inspiration number 11128, and to Colin's right is Shruti, also from the same team, if you couldn't guess already.
The hell? Why are you interrupting me? Don't you think people want to hear me play my recorder? Jeez.
I'm sorry, it was a mistake. But before we get into that argument, we'll give you guys a quick introduction about who we are. We're a group of 10 robotics students from sunny San Diego, ranging from all the way from 7th grade all the way to 11th grade, working out of our coach's garage. Together, we're a fourth year First Tech Challenge team, as well as a Robo Sub team in the summer. So, for our listeners that don't know what these competitions are, here's a quick overview. FIRST stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. And as stated on the FIRST website, FIRST is a global robotics competition community preparing young students for the future.
Yeah, so I guess we'll get started then. So I guess how have you guys been doing out throughout the coronavirus?
Well, I finally been able to focus less on school and more on robotics because our Robo Sub season is still surprisingly still going on, and there's still a lot of work to be done. So I can't really sit idly anymore.
How about yourself, Shruti? How have you been treating COVID-19 and adapting throughout?
Well, during coronavirus, since we have a lot more free time since our teachers aren't really doing many lessons with us, I also spent a lot of time just learning by myself. So I've been preparing for next school year by learning lessons ahead of time. And then I've also been improving my computer vision skills by taking different tutorial or doing different tutorials and learning from different articles that I find on the internet.
It's super cool that both of you guys are extending your robotics knowledge, not only staying within the first progression of programs. I guess let's take some time to reflect on the season. How did you guys start the season through ideating uh, the solution to Skystone this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
So all of
oh,
oh, you can go first.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, all of our sub teams, I guess, split up into their sub teams and started discussing what they can do. One example of this, which I kind of partook in, was the computer vision sub team. So we had to figure out which algorithms work best to find the sky stones. Yeah, I think Shruti can talk about the other aspects
Oh,
of that.
we also, or at the very beginning of the season, specifically in San Diego, we have a big like kickoff event. So at the kickoff event, we were given a skystone, and then we also were able to take pictures of the actual like field and the view marks. So we took pictures of them from different angles, and we were planning on writing computer vision code to be able to detect it like we did for RoboSub. Because in RoboSub we didn't always have time to directly test in the pool. So what would do is record the image ahead of time, and then we would test on that pre-recorded image until we had it accurate, and then we would go test in the pool. So we plan to do something very similar to that with first. But then we realized we didn't have much of a use for the view marks, so we kind of ended that. Instead, we mostly focused on detecting the image on the sky stone, which is what we spent most of our time doing with computer
Yeah.
vision.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and oh, for other sub teams, basically, we were mainly on programming. However, other sub teams, basically, a huge emphasis was put on actually building out or catting out our ideas and then actually.
Wow, can you share some of the names that we came up with? Storm.
But I don't think that's a great idea anymore.
yeah. So it seems like you guys had a complete water theme throughout the year. I guess it may be a little bit confusing how we compete in multiple competitions. Shruti, do you want to highlight the timeline our team takes throughout the first competitions, but then also um, throughout our other competitions as well?
So our first season usually begins in the very beginning of the school year. So that's like around the beginning of or end of August, beginning of September, where we'll start basically coming up with ideas about how our year will be and like what our goals are and what awards and things we want to achieve. Once the kickoff happens, we get into the actual like building portion of our robot and we prepare it for our league meets. And I know some places don't have league meets, but since San Diego is a really big region, they split up into 4 leagues. So each of those leagues will have a series of 4 competitions. They'll have 3 league meets, which is just like basically playing around with their robots and like doing competition. And then a league championship, which is an actual competition with like judges and awards. So for the beginning of our season until about like January time, we were just focused on our robot, like preparing it. And then we got into the engineering notebook aspect and then the presentation as well. Do you want to talk about that, Paul?
Wait, can you
We were on
Oh,
the presentation aspect.
Yeah, so we definitely basically the main thing that we did is we had multiple guest speakers come in, and we gave our presentation script to them and they gave us feedback. And basically what we did is we didn't only call in like robotics oriented people, we also brought in people from different professions. We even brought in like Colin and Mabel's neighbors to come listen and see their feedback so that we could keep all of the judges engaged throughout our entire presentation. And then we also tried to hit all of the different points that were on the judging rubric. So this way we could maximize the number of points that we'd get.
Wow,
and
fantastic.
oh,
Please?
oh, I was gonna say, and along the way, we also got to meet a lot of business professionals. For example, I think it was in December we met the CEO of Northrop Grumman, which was a great experience. And through that experience, we were able to add that into our collective outreach, which is a really big aspect of our team. And actually, one of the main reasons we started this podcast because during coronavirus, we had to decrease the amount of outreach.
Fantastic. I guess
Pahel, Shruti, could you guys share what has been like the most impactful outreach experience you guys have experienced throughout the season?
Yeah, so the most impactful outreach that I experienced, I actually led this outreach this year. It was during the summer where we taught at Urban Life, which is basically a program for more underprivileged kids in City Heights. And we were able to conduct a robotics camp there in which they would use the EV3 kits to build a competition robot. and then compete with each other at the end.
Ooh.
And it was really inspiring to just teach them, obviously. But one student in particular who was pretty reluctant to do anything related to robotics because he was kind of getting bored of it, I guess. I was able to work with him throughout the week. And by the end of that week, he was actually way more interested in robotics and he was able to know that first has made an impact on my life, which has allowed me to make an impact on others' lives. Whether this was making him more interested in robotics or just kind of getting him more engaged in learning.
Wow. So I guess there's almost that idea of sustainability that once you're able to teach someone, then they'll be able to teach the next generation and so on and so forth. I actually had this topic come up where it's like, hey, sustainability is not only about maintaining a team name, but then also maintaining the community that team is created in. So, for example, when I graduate, it doesn't matter if you guys continue under the team inspiration, but you guys have inspired so many people elsewhere and really built up this community so that it's able to sustain itself. I guess, Shruti, do you want to share any experiences when you were able to lead outreach events um, to build the community up?
Um, so this was or this happens like pretty often. We do monthly outreaches with an organization called Include Autism, and the person that leads that or that effort from our team, his name is Aditya, and he was unavailable myself, but it was actually a really interesting experience to be able to handle those students by myself. And especially considering the fact that most of the students that do the robotics program with us are like um, routine students, so we see them like almost every month. Um, I got to interact with the kids that were familiar with robotics and the ones that had gone to less classes, and got to see how they thought of me teaching, and I'm happy to say they liked it.
Wow,
That
that's
made any sense.
yeah, that's spectacular. Being able to pick up a leadership position and then being able to run through it in those sustained outreach events. One of the biggest things I think that's a hallmark of the first competitions is that core values aspect, where sometimes, hey, you need to set aside your differences to maybe make the event move forward or make everyone have a great experience. And it sounds like you guys really embody that having fun aspect, most importantly, really smiling throughout the tough times, through these tough times, to share with everyone. I guess, Pahel, I guess core values, you've guys grown up with it since FLL. How has core values helped you throughout this time through COVID 19?
Yeah, well, core values, obviously, gracious professionalism is really important throughout all aspects of life. But especially during, I guess, coronavirus, when a lot of things are just being moved online, it's really important to conduct yourself in that manner so that you can kind of what you have to do. And so that's helped out a lot during quarantine, whether it was self learning different things or doing school from home. Just knowing that your teachers, your parents, and your mentors don't have all the answers. So you have to kind of dig on your own. And that's been especially helpful to learn new things over quarantine.
Wow. I guess have you had like a standout experience or an engagement with a mentor who's been able to help you through um, any problems?
Um, well, during the first FTC season, our team for our league championship, we didn't do as well as we thought we would. So, what we decided to do for our regional competition in order to boost our as possible, we learned about Scrum from Mr. Tang, who is one of our coach's parents, and he taught us about he showed us this project management platform on GitHub. So we used that and we would call every day leading up to the regional competition, asking people like what they did, how are what they've checked off, like what tasks they finished so far. I also worked with Mrs. Tang to work on the presentation. So we basically asked our team members to give us inputs on what they thought about the presentation and to like help us write their portion. And then we would edit it, go through it, and then we had different guests come over, like a voice coach named Mr. O'Brien, and we also had one of my old FLL judge or FLL coaches, Mr. Rajesh Goel, and he went over our script with us, and we had a lot of feedback that way. So yeah, with our mentors, we definitely wouldn't have ended up getting a ticket to the World Championship this season. So yeah, they're the backbone of our team.
Wow, fantastic. I think one of the I guess most cherished memories on the team, I think from this past year was actually when we were working on the presentation, but then it got um, everyone was obviously stressed because we wanted to improve ourselves from the last performance we had. So we actually had to take a breather and go out to the local park at night and
Just
just
cool off with the team. So I guess up on the screen, here's some photos of our team absolutely having a blast that night. I guess, do you guys have something, or would you guys like to say anything of like the importance of, again, those core values and de-stressing after maybe a tough night of presentations?
Um, or yeah, again, we have fun is very important. That's why it's the one that everyone remembers. Also, it's really short, but like I think passively doing it without like really getting anything from it. So I think it's
And we
really
get
important
faster
to
and faster.
maintain that fun atmosphere even when it's getting stressful and you're like um tired and it's getting to like the last minutes.
Mhm.
But yeah, being happy and maintaining that energy is definitely a key to performing well at any competition. So I'm glad we did that.
Yep.
for
I
And
think
to
it's very
oh,
yep.
important.
and to add on to that, first knows that it's not just a competition about your skill level in robotics. It also emphasizes a lot on your soft skills and also outreach. So I guess it kind of makes us better people in general, which is the point of core values, because you can only go to some extent with knowledge, and the rest of your, I guess, qualities will take you the rest of the way.
For sure. So I think you guys outlined the preseason and then also how you guys prepare for the competitions. I think one of the biggest things that Woody Flowers always left us with is the made-up word for first, cooperation or friendly competition. I guess how do you guys see that used on our team, but then also on other teams as you guys engage with one another in competitions?
Yeah, so other teams, obviously we do scrimmages with them. we kind of talk to them about our strategies, and we get to learn about their strategies. So isn't this technically shouldn't be able to bring us up. However, as a community, as a San Diego first community, let's say, we're able to kind of increase our level so that we become a more competitive region, and through that we learn more. And that's definitely a really important thing about robotics, is to increase everyone's skill level so that you have to increase yours even more.
Yeah, so almost touching on that again, where Pahal mentioned increasing everyone's skill level. It's like the analogy that many people in first bring up, right? It's not about pulling down your competitors, but pushing your competitors up. So then you're pretty much bringing the entire community up. I think one of the biggest things that we used for that is documentation through our engineering notebook and us documenting our experiences through this video series. I guess Pahal, or actually Trudy, how have you seen documentation as useful throughout the season?
Um, well, first of all, documentation is kind of required in first to win any awards. So that's one thing that kind of kept us on check when we felt lazy and didn't want to document anything. But also, documentation is really helpful because on our team we do lessons learned. So let's say we go to an outreach and we somehow forget the robot and we have nothing to show. We'll write that down in our outreach minutes, and then the next time we do an outreach, we'll be like, "Oh, so where is the robot?" before we leave. And yeah, that's basically documentation has been also like really helpful during coronavirus because like for example in our RoboSub competition, one of the rules that we want to maintain is that um we don't break the social distancing protocol. So what we've been doing is we've been doing all of our tests at home or by doing it virtually. Like for example, we would have Colin and Mabel test out the robot which while someone was instructing them online.